Hammer's Dracula movies, unveiling the legendary Bloodsuckers. Greetings, fellow horror enthusiasts. This is Chloë from Movies on Disc. Today, we are delving deep into the sinister world of Hammer's Dracula movies. With fangs bared and captivating performances, these films have ignited our imaginations for generations. Join me on this dark journey as we rank the 9 Hammer Dracula movies by date, unearthing the secrets of each masterpiece along the way. Let's unveil the suspense as we embark on the chronological ranking of Hammer's iconic Dracula films, and explore the unforgettable actors who embraced the roles of Dracula, Van Helsing, and Renfield. Rank number 1, Dracula, 1958. Jonathan Harker, John Van Essen, begets the ire of Count Dracula, played by Christopher Lee, after he accepts a job at the vampire's castle under false pretenses, forcing his colleague Dr. Van Helsing, played by Peter Cushing, to destroy the predatory villain when he targets Harker's loved ones. Rank number 2, The Brides of Dracula, 1960. Following the death of Count Dracula, the film continues the adventures of Dr. Van Helsing as he faces a different set of vampires, Baron, played by David Peel, and Baroness Meinster, played by Martita Hunt, of Transylvania. Sadly enough, no Christopher Lee in this movie. Rank number 3, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, 1966. Christopher Lee's triumphant return as Dracula. The Kents, played by Barbara Shelley, Francis Matthews, Susan Farmer and Charles Tingwell. After arriving at a tiny hamlet in the Carpathian Mountains, are diverted to the former castle of Count Dracula, where his former manservant Chloë, played by Philip Latham, seeks to use their blood to allow his master to rise from the grave once more. Rank number 4, Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, 1968. We see Christopher Lee as the Count. While trying to exorcise Castle Dracula, the Monsignor, played by Rupert Davis, inadvertently accidentally brings Count Dracula back from the dead. Once awakened, Dracula follows the Monsignor back to his hometown, preying on the holy man's beautiful niece Maria, played by Veronica Carlson, and her friend, played by Barry Andrews. Rank number 5, Taste the Blood of Dracula, 1970. Starring Christopher Lee as Dracula. After 3 distinguished English gentlemen, played by Geoffrey Keane, Peter Sallis and John Carson, accidentally resurrect Count Dracula, unknowingly killing a disciple of his, played by Ralph Bates. In the process, the Count seeks to avenge his dead servant by making the trio die at the hands of their own children. Rank number 6, Scars of Dracula, 1970. Christopher Lee plays Dracula once more. After a huge vampire bat drops blood on his ashes, Dracula rises again to trouble Simon, played by Dennis Waterman, and Sarah, played by Jenny Hanley, a couple on a lookout for Paul, played by Christopher Matthews, who had mysteriously disappeared a while back. Rank number 7, Dracula A.D., 1972. A modernized take on the Dracula tale in the 70s. Christopher Lee wears the cape for the 6th time. After Van Helsing, played by Peter Cushing, dispatches Dracula to his grave in 1872, the Dark Lord is raised by Johnny Alucard, played by Christopher Neame, 100 years later in 1972, modern London. When the swinging trendies of London decide to experiment with a little devil worshipping, the Count decides to move to his own bloody groove, preying on a group of young partygoers that includes the descendant of his nemesis, Van Helsing, played by Stephanie Beacham, and her grandfather, played by Peter Cushing. A departure from traditional Hammer style. Rank number 8, The Satanic Rites of Dracula, 1973. Christopher Lee for the 7th time in his iconic role and his last appearance in a Dracula movie from Hammer. After an expert vampire researcher, played by Michael Coles, is hired by the British Secret Service, played by Richard Vernon, to investigate the mysterious death of an agent, played by Maurice O'Connell, who died while working to expose a satanic cult led by Chin Yang, played by Barbara Wu Ling, who seek to use Mia Martin to summon back Dracula to help develop a new strain of bubonic plague. With the evil intention of annihilating all life on Earth, they turn to Lorimer Van Helsing and his granddaughter, played by Joanna Lumley, for assistance. Rank number 9, The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, 1974. Professor Van Helsing and his son, played by Robin Stewart, are hired later in 1904 after giving a lecture at a Chinese university to take on a group of 7 sword-wielding vampires wearing gold masks, resurrected by Count Dracula, played by John Forbes Robertson and David de Keyser. This was a cooperation between Hammer Studios and Shaw Brothers. This fusion of vampire horror and martial arts is once again a step out of the ordinary for Hammer. And as last are honorable mentioning. Count Dracula, 1970 is a 1970 Gothic horror film directed by Jesus Franco, based on the novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. It stars Christopher Lee with Moustache and Klaus Kinski. Although Count Dracula stars Lee in the title role, it is not a Hammer production like his other Dracula films, being produced instead by Harry Alan Towers. Klaus Kinski, who would play Dracula himself 9 years later in Nosferatu the Vampire, is also featured in the film as Renfield. Count Dracula was advertised as the most faithful adaptation of Bram Stoker's novel. Among other details, it was the first film version of the novel in which Dracula begins as an old man and becomes younger as he feeds upon fresh blood. There you have it, the unveiled ranking of Hammer's Dracula movies. Each film has left its mark on the realm of horror and vampire folklore. Whether you're a devoted follower of the undead or just sinking your teeth into these classics, the Hammer Dracula movies are a testament to the enduring allure of the night. Please subscribe, like and comment so that we can keep on making videos about the movies you like. Thank you for joining me on this mesmerizing journey through the world of the Hammer Dracula movies. Until next time, may your nights be both eerie and thrilling. And as always, I see you at the movies.